What's up, everybody? It's D's World. Got another reaction. About to react. Candace Owens, the short history of slavery. Now, people are very sensitive talking about this. You know, it's crazy when you have a conversation about slave. Oh, only this side has slaves. But to be honest, though, it's every culture, every different ethnicity, everything, like everybody had slaves, man. And it's crazy. You know, when I used to go to school, you know, people just trying to say, you know, blacks right here, whites or whatever. Oh, that's one slavery. But I talk about it. I have two great grandparents, like my mom's side, my grandma and my grandpa. The dads, they're both from the Philippines. They moved into America with nothing, and they moved because like Japan and other ones was trying to rule over it, over right there in the Philippines. And then you have my other ancestors. They're from the they're from Mexico, and when they talk about it, they're saying this and this too about some other stuff. And that's when they came to America. That's when it was way better. You know, when they talk about it. And so that's why people, it's very sensitive, like talking about it and everybody, because everybody's they don't like the truth. They just want to just hear one side and don't want to hear into the real truth. So we're going to hear about this. I bet you, Candace Owens, man, she always cooked this stuff. So I'm very interested to see about this. If it's just going to be from America, from black and stuff, because you seem like other people too. Because, you know, World War II, it was Asian people from after Pearl Harbor, they put them camps right there. And people don't even know about that kind of stuff. It's crazy. And that's what, not even 100 years ago right there. So is that wrong? Hell yeah, it's wrong. But that's what happens right there. It's all about history, stuff like that. But do you see the Asians that happen to them right now? Do they talk about that and cry about it? I don't really see that really talk about that kind of stuff. So, all right, let's check it out now. Let's go.
And now for a brief history of slavery. Here's the first thing you need to know. Slavery was not invented by white people. It did not start in 1619 when the first slaves came to Jamestown.
See, ooh, man, I'll be honest, though. I was that person in school that used to debate all the stuff like this, man. For real. Because it doesn't make no damn sense. There was slaves everywhere. Go back, you go all the way back right now. If you think about the Bible with Moses, it goes all the way from that. There were slaves right there. And how long ago? That's like thousands of years. And it goes all the way from different countries. People used to have different ones, from Asian ones to other Asian ones. And it goes all right there. It's just that when I used to go to school, I used to always debate the kind of stuff like, it doesn't make no sense to me. Oh, yeah. Like, come on.
It existed before then. It did not start in 1492 when Columbus discovered the New World. In fact, when the intrepid explorer landed in the Bahamas, the native Taino tribe hoped that he would help them defeat their aggressive neighbors, the Caribs. The Caribs enslaved the Taino and, on occasion, served them for dinner. Damn. Slavery existed in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. The word slave actually comes from the Slavs of Eastern Europe. Millions of them, all white, by the way, were captured and enslaved by Muslims in the 9th century and later by the Ottoman Turks. Slavery existed when the Roman Empire controlled the Mediterranean and most of Europe from the 1st through the 5th centuries. Slavery existed when Alexander the Great conquered Persia.
Even like we know right there, oh, see, we're going that kind of way. When you watch right there to Rome, they had they had slaves too, man. And it's like, if you look at, there's some white people, and they're white, right? There's some different kind of white people. They used to slave them ones, and different cultures too, and that way. It's all around, man. That's why it goes all the way back.
It was so common that Aristotle simply considered it natural. The slave master model was just how the world operated in the great philosopher's day. Slavery existed during the time of the ancient Egyptians 5,000 years ago. As far back as we can go in human history, we find slavery. As renowned historian John Steele Gordon notes from time immemorial, slaves were a major item of commerce. As much as a third of the population of the ancient world was enslaved. Here's the second thing you need to know. White people were the first to formally put an end to slavery. In 1833, Britain was the first
Think so. I mean,
country in the history
makes
of the
sense.
world to pass a Slavery Abolition Act. They were
And then everybody right here, if you guys comment, oh, some, I am a quarter white. So if everybody's all talking about the white kind of thing, yes, I had a grandma, she's full white, right there, and she's right there. She's from St. Louis. Long time, she passed away a long time ago though, man. Had a big accent, but she's from the hood and everything, man. Yeah, but yeah, I'm just being honey right there.
quickly followed by France, who in 1848 abolished slavery in her many colonies. Then, of course, came the 13th Amendment in the United States Constitution. After centuries of human slavery, white men led the world in putting an end to the abhorrent practice. That includes the 300,000 Union soldiers, overwhelmingly white, who died during the Civil War.
Yep.
Now, am I saying that this makes white people better than anyone else? Of course not. My purpose
and that was Republican that did that.
Here is to simply tell
Not
the truth.
Democrat,
and the truth
Republican.
is that human history is complicated. No one, regardless of skin color, stands guiltless. Yet today we are never told to consider the murderous Persian Empire or the cannibalism of indigenous tribes of North and South America or the heinous actions under the imperialistic Muslim, Chinese, Mongol, or Japanese empires, to name just a few. Instead, we're told that slavery is a white phenomenon. And like all persistent lies, this lie spawns a bunch of other lies. On social media, I come across extraordinary depictions about how Africans lived like pharaohs before Europeans came and laid waste to their...
See, I used to ask questions too right there when in high school. Like, so somebody just came right there and just put them to change. There has to be in the middle person that had to do it, or they had to like do their own people right there, because it happens in history to everybody else did that. Like, no, some, and then that's why now you need to get more information and got more history in it. Yes, that did happen. So let's see what
their paradise. I wish any of this were true, but it's not. It's a fantasy. The truth is that Africans were sold into slavery by other black Africans, and in many cases, sold for items as trivial as gin and mirrors. Whites didn't go into the interior.
I heard like that stuff right there, but also I heard from like guns, gunpowder and guns, because it's the big thing right there. It's like from the Middle East, or not the Middle East, but the guy used to. Oh, never mind. I'll just keep going with stuff.
And round up the natives. They waited on the coast for their black partners to bring them black bodies. The stark reality is that our lives had very little value to our ancestors. Here's the third thing you need to know. If you think slavery is a relic of the past, you're wrong. There are some 700,000 slaves in Africa today, right now. That's the lowest estimate that I could find. Other sources say there are many more. For context, that's almost
China, India, all the places like that, man.
Twice
everywhere.
As many slaves as were ever brought
South
to the
America,
United States.
all that kind of stuff.
Child soldiers, human trafficking, forced labor. These are the conditions that currently exist within the same sub-Saharan region where the transatlantic slave trade originated. African bodies are being sold today like they were sold then. And no, they are not being purchased by any country of white men. In fact, slavery, by any traditional definition, is exclusively practiced today within non-white countries. But we hear almost nothing about that. Just like we hear nothing about how slavery was universal until good people in Europe and America ended it 2 centuries ago. Why? Because our so-called leaders, black and white, wouldn't profit from it. Black victimhood is nothing if not profitable. It elects politicians and funds racial grievance groups. And if black Americans began to view themselves as partners in the American dream, if we embraced the patriotic spirit that holds all men are created equal, the patriotic spirit that is our real heritage, then the race hustlers would soon be out of business.
Make money, man.
And who wants that?
Yep, that's...
I'm Candace Owens, author of Blackout, for Prager University.
Man, for real, man, for real. No, people do not want the truth, man. They hear something from something, I don't know where they got it from whatever they got it. Like, they only have just a little bit about the history, about some stuff, because I don't know everything in history, but I know enough. I want to know more and more from history so I understand. And some people are very sensitive, like, oh, you don't understand, my people, you were slaves, some. That's why, like, what you mean you can't? You could do what you want, man. You have 2 arms, 2 legs. You can push yourself to be who you want to as the best person you want. You can't just let that go back from like 100, 150, 200 years ago, when before your people, well, like your family, your whatever, when they did their stuff. Like, oh, you don't understand. Like, what you mean understand, man? Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, look, like, I have 2 grandparents right there from my grandpa and my grandma. They're from the Philippines. At the time, that's when the Philippines they had problems right there for Japan and all the ones kind of Asian places right there, because Japan was they were like on top of a lot of places. And yep, and they moved into America probably a long time, like 100 years ago or something. Or like almost not 100 years ago, but you know what I'm saying, something like that, you know. And World War I, World War II, all that kind of stuff and everything like that. And it's just, when they talking about it, there's just, when you know, when some of them passed away, of course, because they're older. But when they talking about that, it was, if you go, like, I'd rather be in America than where I was from, because I came from nothing. I'm like, I understand what you're saying. That's why when you have other people that's very trying to just push everything like it's racist and pushing all the time, and I can't do this because of this. Like, what you mean, man? It's like, I know so many older people now that they came from nothing and they made something that came into very successful life, a career, family, all that kind of things. But if you're a person that just listens to people, like she said, like the little hustlers, people right there, them dudes are making money from you thinking about some stuff that these dudes got money and you don't, and it's gonna make you get more miserable about your life. You gotta push yourself, man. You can't just listen and say, oh, I can't do that because this and that and this. How are you gonna be better for your life? Come on, man. But yeah, man, this is very interesting. This is like a good one right here, man. Shout out to Candace Owens, man. She always, ever since I seen her right there, social media and everything else, man, she always put the truth most of the time, you know. And then if you have a debate with her, she nice. She will cook anybody. But all right, man. Like, subscribe, show love, and hit me on the comments. Tell me what you think about this. All right, Steve's World again. Yay. Late.